Guys, all the cars that you see in these videos are for sale on my website, www.woodsandbarclay.com. Enjoy the video. Hey everyone, welcome back to the series on the 1985 Cali Wagon. This is video 4, and in this video, the main goal is to redo the entire AC system. Now, I've spent the morning cleaning out the shop and kind of getting organized for the next, I think the next video after that, we're going to be doing zinc plating. So I've packed up a lot of parts I need to send off for zinc plating. And I've also got all of the AC components laid out on the table. So let's go take a look. Okay, so over here on the table, here's our new AC compressor. Here's our new receiver dryer. Here is our temperature switch and pressure switch. Now, I use a little bit different temperature switch. I think it's off the 190, or it's a more modern chassis. I think it's the 124 chassis. But what that does, it allows your front auxiliary fan to kick on a little sooner and keeps the entire system cooler. That was an old trick one of my mentors, older Mercedes mechanic, taught me. We got our seals for the compressor. Here's 2 bags of just random AC O-rings and fittings in case I need to do anything. Now, I'm going to keep this system R12 because currently it's still R12. This is the original AC system. There's our original R12 fitting right there. I have tons of R12. Down here in the Deep South, R12 is readily available. They made just millions and millions of cans of this stuff. This is the original DuPont Freon. This stuff does not, go bad. I guess that's why they banned it, because it's here permanently. Not necessarily great for the environment is what they say, but who knows? The stuff works great. And I have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have like 7 cases of the stuff. You can easily pick it up. And if you ever need some, and you bought a car from Woods and Barclay, I'll send you some cans. Okay, here's our AC manifold to recharge. And when I'm doing R12, I like to use ester oil. Now, ester oil is an in-between the R12 and the R134 systems. R12 systems originally used mineral oil, and R134 systems used PAG oil. See if I can show you what PAG oil looks like. There you go. PAG 150 is what an R134 system uses. However, you can't mix mineral oil and PAG oil. However, the oil that is compatible with both systems is ester oil. That way, if we do fill it up with R12, and then later someone, in 20 years converts it to the next R whatever, you're not going to have a bunch of the old mineral oil in there. You have ester oil, which is like compatible across the board. So anyway, that's why I use that. And you can see it has dye in it, so we can detect any leaks. Here is the oil injector, so I can fill this up. We'll do somewhere between 4 and 6 ounces and fill that up and inject the oil. So got a lot to do today. Over here we have the vacuum pump, because we're going to put the entire system under vacuum once we get all the new components and O-rings and switches installed. When you put it under vacuum, it evaporates any moisture out of the system, and it also ensures there's no leaks. Need to get the old compressor off of here, the receiver dryer. Now, what I've already done outside of this video, I put the existing system under a vacuum for 24 hours, and there's no leaks in the existing system. So this system would probably still work. However, that compressor and that dryer are old and they're nasty looking. So I'm changing them. But that's good to know that there are no leaks in the current system. So that kind of verifies our hoses are good. Anyway, let's go ahead and start. We'll get the car up on the lift, and we'll first remove the compressor. I'll show you that process. So let's get started. And just a little teaser of future videos to come. We have tons of parts back from zinc plating, and they look beautiful, but I was still missing a couple, so I have to send a few more off today to complete all the plating parts for an 85 model. And of course, in future videos, we still have all of these parts to install. So there's going to be a lot of videos on this car because I'm just going all out and trying to make this the most awesome 85 Cali wagon that I can. All right, guys, so we're going to start over here by getting this old AC compressor out of here. Now, I went ahead and cut the belt off. That's easy to cut the belt off because I want to replace the belt. And I actually inspected these belts over here, and there was a new alternator installed, and they put on new belts when they did that. And the belts say right there, made in Germany. So they put some nice quality belts on. The power steering belt is also good. But I'm going to have to remove that power steering belt when I put the new belt on over here. And here's the new belt here. Here's the old one that I just cut off to make it easier to remove. And so I'm going to throw on a new AC belt. And first thing we want to do to get these ACs out, so there's a bolt here that holds the manifold like it's a brace. And then there's a bolt right here that holds the manifold to the back of the AC compressor. Now for mounting, you have one bolt here, and it's oily up in here, guys, so I'm going to clean all this up, but okay, there you go. You have one bolt there, you have another bolt there, and then there's one you guys can't see. I'm touching the tip of it right behind there. You got to get some kind of an angled wrench up in there to finagle that out. But we'll take that off, and that'll disconnect the manifold, and here's the mounting bracket. Now what's important is you notice, so this bolt right here, that goes through the mounting bracket, right there, through the mounting bracket into the compressor, and you see there's a spacer. See that? You need to make sure that spacer goes back there. And there's another spacer. Let me get some of this oil off of here. There we go. There is another spacer right there. And guys, we'll clean all this up once I get this off, but that's a spacer, and that's a big thick washer. So keep that in mind. And this is a giant spacer right here. So you got giant spacer, thick washer, and then spacer on that side, and then there's one more spacer. Now if you don't put those back in, your compressor is not going to mount correctly. It'll be a disaster. So that's why I was pointing that out. So let me go ahead and get the wrenches up here, get this out, and we're just throwing this thing away, and then we'll throw the new compressor up in here. So keep in mind, guys, I'm cleaning up under here when I'm done, but these are 19 millimeter. So to get these off, now I'm also going to show you how to undo the tensioning adjustment nut that's on the top. See, this wrench works great. It's just a, flexible head wrench, swivel head socket, and you can get that in here, and that makes it really easy. So let me take this big long one out. There we go. This is really easy to do once you've done it for the first time. The first time is always a little overwhelming. Okay, to get the manifold off, you can only use closed-in wrench because there's no room to get anything else in there. So you just got to get it on there, and oh, that thing's in there tight. That's been here that thing's on there good. There it goes. All right, now you just really got to do this by hand, guys. I think we got it loose. There we go. So this is the bolt that holds your manifold to the back of your compressor. It's 15 millimeter. Now we have a new one that comes with our new compressor, but that's what that is. All right, the next one we want to get out is the mounting bracket. So that's a 13 millimeter bolt that goes through the compressor. So you can put a 13 millimeter on that side, like that. There we go. All right, now you want to save this one. You're going to have a 13 millimeter nut, washer, and bolt right here. All right, here comes there's the washer and nut, and the bolt slides right out of the front of the compressor. And that also has a washer, so we'll put those back together. We're going to reuse that. Okay, now the only thing holding it in right now is that hard to reach bolt up top. And we're gonna go ahead and get that out, and we'll see if this thing falls out and hits me in the face. Oh. There we go, I got it. Jeez, all right. Okay, there we go. There's the tools you need to get out your compressor. There's our old dirty, nasty compressor. 19 millimeter with a swivel head. There's the 15 millimeter for the manifold bolt. And there's two 13 millimeters. And then there's a 19 millimeter with a swivel head. And then I had to use a hammer to get that manifold bolt out. I had to put this on there and hit the hammer. And you need a can of chewing tobacco too. And a flashlight. So here's our beautiful new compressor. So first we want to start by, we'll break the seal here, and we're actually going to drain the oil out because these compressors come with oil. But on a Mercedes, you can't install this with oil in it because when you go put it up there, all the oil will drain out on you. So what you have to do is drain the oil out, and I measure it when I drain it out. And it's usually right about 2 ounces that's in here. And or 2 ounces that comes out. And then we want to add that 2 ounces back in addition to a few more ounces to fill the rest of the system. You want about 4 to 6 ounces in there, and it's you know, you can give or take a little and it's not going to hurt anything. Okay, what you can see here is I've capped off the manifold, right? So now I want to lower the car, and guys, this is the only chance I'm going to get to clean up in here. Now, this is an old dirty diesel engine. Diesel engines are filthy. They're 22-to-1 compression. And this is, you know, 40 years of just filthy, gunky diesel engine up here. So now that the compressor's off, I can degrease in here and get the low pressure washer up in here and clean everything. That's why these are capped off. So I'm going to put it down on the ground. I'm going to do that, and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, I have my quick jack under the car. And keep in mind, I have the headlight out because I want to change the receiver dryer. That's how you can access it easily for the AC system. But the quick jack is a nice portable hydraulic jack system. It's on the other side of the car too. And what this lets me do is jack the car 2 or 3 feet up in the air, remove the wheels, and that way I can pressure wash under the engine, pressure wash in all the wheel wells, because I want to get everything clean before I start reinstalling the AC compressor or start redoing any of the suspension. So let's go ahead and get this up on the quick jack. All right, and how this works, we just have a hydraulic lift control here, and watch this. And that's about as high as I need it, guys. Now I can take off the wheels and I can pressure wash underneath. Very cool thing. I think you can get these for like $1,500 to $2,000 at Summit Racing. Okay, I've got the electric pressure washer hooked up. Guys, you don't want super high pressure. That's why I use electric. The gasoline pressure washers, it's too much pressure for what we're doing. You'll damage things. But electric pressure washer is perfect. Now, you can see there's a bunch of dirt and debris up in here. We just want to, you can see the blue, original blue paint still under there. We just need to bring it back. And then over here on the engine, we're going to also degrease the engine compartment. But as you saw earlier in the video, right there where that AC compressor was, lots of gunk and grime. So we want to clean all that off. And then of course we'll degrease the engine compartment, and we'll get everything nice and clean before we pull it back into the shop. Okay, here is the super heavy duty degreaser. You can get this stuff at Harbor Freight. Now they say cut it with water, but if you really want it to work well, don't cut this stuff with anything. You spray it on there, let it sit for a couple of minutes, and then clean everything off. Okay, we're going to start over here on this side of the engine, and we're just going to soak everything down real good. We're going to let it soak for a little while. And then this will let us clean it up really good. All right, we're also going to soak all in the wheel wells all around the car. Get it sprayed down real good and let it soak for a few minutes. And then we'll clean all this off of here. Okay, so there's the before picture in the passenger front wheel well. All right, guys, look at that. That is all the original factory blue paint under here. Still has the factory markings on the springs. Look how good all that cleaned up. Very nice. All right, I gotta go knock out the rest of all the wheel wells, and now I'll have all the suspension clean before I disassemble and remove all this stuff. Those are brand new rotors and brand new calipers back here. Cleans up pretty easy, guys. All the original factory blue paint in there. All right, let me go do the engine, and then we'll get this thing back in the shop and back up on the lift. Okay, got a little crazy with the pressure washer and got all up under the rear of the car and did the engine compartment and behind the headlights and down under the underside of the engine. So anyway, I've got this thing cleaned up now, and I'm ready to move it back into the garage, get it on the lift. We'll show you the cleaning underneath, and then we'll get that compressor reinstalled and finish the AC system. Okay, look how just a basic degreasing of the engine compartment cleaned it up and made it look amazing. And I haven't even installed the zinc plated parts. I mean, those are all right here. It's going to be incredible when I'm done with that. We went ahead and got the washer reservoir back in there. So let's get it up on the lift and finish the AC. I'll show you where we cleaned on the front of the engine compartment. Okay, you can see everything is nice and clean up in here now. Got up on the vacuum pump and even the brackets up in here. Cleaned off the manifold. Looks way better. Okay, let's go ahead and prepare the compressor. Now these are under pressure. This will probably go flying off once I undo it here. Let's see. Okay, good. All right, so first thing we want to do is drain out the oil, and we want to measure how much comes out. It's usually right around 2-3 ounces. All right, that's about it. And we can see, yep, there it is. It's, I don't know if you guys can see that. It's right between 2 and 4. It says 3 ounces, and that's exactly what the sticker says. It says it comes with 3 ounces. So we know we want to put 3 ounces back in there. Now also, what the compressor manufacturers tell you is they want to spin the compressor. Now we use this little special tool here, and they want to spin the compressor several times to make sure everything rotates correctly. Down here. All right, there we go. And they want you to spin it about 10 times. All right, let's get this thing mounted back in the car. Okay, I went ahead and cleaned up all our bolts and stuff in the parts washer. So here's the one with the big long spacer, and that goes through, and then this goes on the other side of the mount. Let's get this one in first. Spin it around. Okay, it wants to go right like that. And first, let's stick this big bolt through here. Now keep in mind, there's a spacer. It goes right there on the end. There we go. And we'll just get this threaded in by hand. All right. And we want to put the other spacer right up there on that one. There we go. And let's get that one threaded in by hand. Oh, it's being nice to me today. They're all threading in easy. All right. And here's the third one. It's this really, really long one. Now we just gotta kind of find the hole. Oh my God. It just went in. Found it immediately. All right. And then we want to get our manifold seals in there. So I'll show you that next. Okay, so with your compressor, you're gonna get a couple of different seals. And the ones you want to use are the green and the gold. You want to throw away the red ones. You might think the red ones are supposed to be used, but they're not. It's the green and the gold. All right, look how clean my engine is. I'm really proud of that. So what you want to do, the green one is going to go over here on this side. And that one can actually slip over. You know, there's a little part of the pipe that sticks through on the green side. So you can actually slip that one over. Oh, get up in there. Let's see. Okay. Now the gold one, that's the tricky one. Nothing holds it in there. So you're going to drop it like 5 or 6 times before you get it to stay in there. So the green one's in. Okay. Slip the gold one up in there. Oh my God, did I just get that the first try? Okay, I just got lucky, guys. Normally I drop that at least 5 times trying to get it in there. Then we got to get our manifold bolt threaded in on the back. Yeah, this is my lucky day. This is going in really, everything's just going together really, really easy. Okay, there we go. Gold, green. Now we want to tighten that down. Now the old compressor, it was a 15 millimeter. For some reason on the new compressors, they've changed them to 16 millimeter. And you can only get like, you know, quarter of a turn at a time. You want to make sure that's good and snug on there. And then before we tighten, like do the final tightening on all the bolts, we want to install our new belt and get the tension right before and use the adjustment nut. I'll show you where that is. And then we tighten everything back down. You got to get this pretty snug, you guys, because these compressor seals will blow out if you don't, or they'll start leaking. All right, that's pretty snug. Last thing, remember we have that retaining bracket. We're going to slip that through. Remember this was the 13 millimeters. And I've seen this actually missing on a lot of cars. So not 100% required. Not missing, but just not attached. But the engineers put it there for a reason. It stabilizes that manifold to the back of the compressor and holds everything nice and tight. All right, there we go. That is nice and tight. Bolts are all loose. See, I can still move the compressor because we're going to need to now adjust it to install the belt. All right, what I can do now is go ahead and plug in our power plug. Let's get this thing in here. Okay, good. Power is installed back onto the compressor. Now let's go up there and put our belt in. And look at our nice new compressor and our clean engine compartment. Doesn't it look good under there? Okay, back on top of the car, and if we look right down here, so there's our compressor. See underneath those 2 hoses, that's the black compressor. That 10 millimeter nut right there, that's an adjustment screw for the belt tension. And if you remember the top bolt that we put through the back of the compressor, well, that nut and that bolt there actually goes through, and there's a loop around that top bolt. So when you tighten, there we go, there's a better angle. When you move those threads down or up, it pulls the compressor up or pushes the compressor down and actually adjusts the tension on the belt. So now we want to get a 10 millimeter in there and loosen it up so we can get the belt on and then tighten it back up. Now, at the same time, in order to put that belt on, we need to remove the power steering belt because the AC compressor is behind the power steering belt. See the groove right down there? On the right side of the belt, there's another groove. So let's go ahead, and what we have to do is loosen, let's see, there's a 13 millimeter there, one right there, and one right there. And then there's our adjustment nut. Right, well, that was a good view. Right there. So we can adjust this nut right here and loosen the tension on our power steering pump, take the belt off, put on the AC compressor, and then put that belt back on. Okay, so a part that I forgot to record, I went ahead and just loosened the power steering lines a little. That way, you can get right down here to this adjustment nut. There we go. And watch the power steering pump now when I turn this nut. And now I've got it loose enough where I can remove our pulley here. Now, cool. Now that this pulley is off, I'm going to slip on our AC belt. I'm sorry, not pulley. Now that our belt is off, I'm going to go into the car, slip on our AC belt, and then I'll put these belts back on. Okay, excuse the noise, guys. Jim is buffing on my truck hood over there because we just painted it. And I'm going to come right up here behind that power steering belt. There we go. And get it onto the crank pulley. All right, there we go. And now I'm going to see if I can get it up here to the AC compressor. And first we're going to have to loosen the AC compressor adjustment nut to lower this down, and then I can pull that pulley around there. But in the meantime, since I already have it around there now, I'm going to put our power steering pulley back on. All right, there we go. All right, I'm going to put a 10 millimeter down here on the adjustment nut for the AC compressor. There we go. And we'll spin that all the way out so it'll drop the compressor down lower. And in the meantime, I'm putting our power steering pulley back on, our belt. I keep saying pulley, I mean to say belt. We're putting our power steering belt back on there. All right. Okay guys, we have our AC compressor belt installed. And it is the one with the white writing on it right there. And there's our power steering belt back on there. Now we need to get down here. And keep in mind the AC compressor bolts are loose so it can move around. And we need to tighten up that adjustment nut and then go feel the tension on the belt. Now you want to get the belt just a little bit looser than where you finally want it, because when you tighten up the back of the bolts, it's going to snug it up a little bit more. And you want these AC compressor belts to be pretty snug, or they're going to cause rattle in your AC compressor. So I'll go ahead and tighten that up, and then we'll tighten up our adjustment nut on the power steering pump, and we're done with the belt install, and we can move over to the receiver dryer. Okay, we're done with the belts on the compressor, got everything tightened up over there. Now we're moving to the receiver dryer. Now on the receiver dryer, we have, this is our fan switch right here. When it gets to a certain pressure, the system, it kicks on our front auxiliary fan, and that cools the condenser. And then we have our temperature switch here that will shut off the compressor if it gets, things get too hot. I think that's how that works. Now I've already cracked these loose. They're just 19 millimeter. And we're going to unscrew our fittings here and unscrew our fitting over here. All right, there we go. And then we can pull those lines out. There we go, there's one. Now we want to replace the O-rings here. See, that's an old original O-ring. And let's see what's over here. There we go. We can see an old crusty original O-ring right here too. Let me show you these. I'm going to take that one off. There we go. So we're going to replace these O-rings with some new ones. And now to get this receiver dryer out, let me get this O-ring off. There we go. There is, I think that's an 8mm screw right here. And there's one over on this side. See that? Right there too. So let me go ahead and get those loose and we'll pull that out. All right, there we go. And these are just sheet metal screws, guys. They just go through the middle of the car. And the other one is right back here. There we go. All right, there we go. And there's the old receiver dryer. Let's get this on the bench and we'll show you the new one and how to put things together. Now, these things are also going to have oil in them. The whole system holds like 4 to 6 ounces, and there's also going to be some in the condenser up front and still in the lines because the oil doesn't evaporate out of the system. But we have taken out probably close to about 4 ounces just from the taken out of the compressor and this guy. So we're at least putting back in 4 ounces, and the other 2 ounces are in the residual lines in the system right now because it holds 4 to 6 ounces. All right, so here's our receiver dryer, and if we look at our old one, so up here on the top, let's see, right here, that's going to be our pressure switch, and you can see these have, they include the O-rings on them. Here's the pressure switch, and that's the temperature switch. And I just like to dip a little of the that compressor oil. Just put it around the O-ring. That way it doesn't bind when I'm putting it on there. And we'll screw this guy on here. Like that. And we'll put a little compressor oil on the O-ring. There we go. And we'll screw this one in here, and then we need to tighten them down. And then we can reinstall this one. All right, let's see. I think that is a 14 to tighten this one down. Let's see. 14, yeah. And then for this one, I just use this guy to tighten it down. All right, there we go. Those are tight, and this is ready to go back in the car. Okay, before we reinstall it, I have 2 new O-rings, and I've just put a little compressor oil on them. And we're going to slip them over our fittings here. That'll make sure everything seals correctly. All right, there we go. Okay, let's see. It is going to go down right like that. There we go. All right, there we go. And you don't have to go crazy tight, guys. The O-ring does the sealing. You just need to snug them up pretty good. There we go. There we go. That's good. All right. Now, we need to plug in our connectors. There we go. There's our pressure switch there and there. And then these are blade connectors, which go in here. There we go. Now on this one, I have to peel back the covering a little bit so it goes into the sheath on the original connector. And all you do is take a razor blade and you just slice the sheath off right at the very end. There we go. And then we can pull that back to expose our blade connector. There we go. That one goes right in there. There we go. All right, mission accomplished. Now we can recharge the AC system. First, let's put it under a vacuum and let it sit and check for any leaks. Okay, we have our blue line to our low pressure and our red line down there to our high pressure port. Now, I want to go ahead and open the manifold here. Open. And what we want to do, we're going to turn on this vacuum pump right here and let that run for 45 minutes to an hour. And you're going to see it's going to suck down the needle to -30. It's usually around -28 inches of mercury. I guess that's how you measure vacuum. So let's go ahead and watch this. All right, see our needle going down? That one on the high side, it's already down. It's getting down. Here we go. We're gonna let that run. It's gonna get down to like -28 or so. And what that does, that puts the entire system under a vacuum, and any moisture in this system now, because when you put water under a vacuum, it will boil much faster. So it basically boils out any water. Now the oil does not come out of the system, so any residual oil will still be in there. So we'll let this vacuum pump run for a little while, and then I'll shut it off. Yeah, we're about where we're supposed to be right now. There we go. It's like -29, 30, right around there. So we'll let it run for about 45 minutes, then let it sit. Okay, I'm letting this sit under a vacuum for a while, and I'm watching the gauges to see if there's any leaks. Right now it's holding rock solid. That's excellent. So let's go ahead and prepare our oil injection, because first I want to inject in 2 ounces of oil once I fire up the car, and then we're going to put in our Freon, and then we're going to inject in 2 more ounces of oil, 4 ounces total. And yeah, we're going to do 4 ounces total because about 2 ounces is still left in there. So let's go ahead and prepare the injection. All right, excuse the mess of all the O-rings and stuff up here. I need to put these back in the bag. But here is our oil injector. And you can see it has graduated. I don't know if you guys can see this, but it says like 1 ounce, 2 ounces. I think it goes up to a total of 2 ounces. And it's graduated in a 1/4 ounce mark. So you just screw it all the way down, and that'll get us to the 2 ounce mark. There's 1.5 ounces, 3/4. There we go, 2 ounces. Let's see if I can get this where you guys can see that. There we go. See, 2 ounces. Now we're going to take off our cap, fill it with ester oil, and this will be the first thing we do. Inject it with oil to make sure that compressor gets its oil back. There we go. 2 ounces. All right, now this is ready to inject. And I like to inject this first batch of oil. Since the system's under pressure right now, since the system is under vacuum right now, I like to undo my lines when we're done letting it sit under vacuum and testing for leaks. And then I like to connect it to the high pressure port here and let it suck in. The vacuum sucks in that oil. And then we'll crank up the car and proceed to put our Freon in the low pressure and then 2 more ounces into the low pressure. All right, I've got my oil hooked up to the high pressure. See how easy it spins in? That's because it's under vacuum, and that vacuum helps to suck it into the system. So we're going to go ahead and inject this. Then we'll fire up the car and start adding Freon, and then we'll get cold AC. And that gauge is not budging. So we're good. We know we do not have any leaks. So let's go ahead and fill up with R12. Now, right here, there's a sticker. And it says the 123 chassis takes 2.9 pounds. See, 123 and 126, 2.9 pounds. Now, one of these cans is 14 ounces. So, let's see, let's make sure they're all 14. Yep. Okay, 14 times 4 is 56 ounces. 56 divided by 16 ounces in a pound is 3.5 pounds. So it's going to take a lot, like 3.5 of one of these cans. And guys, you don't have to get it exactly perfect. You will know when it has the right amount in there. And because that AC will start blowing ice cold. Now, this is a pot of hot tap water just out of the sink. So an old school mechanic, one of my mentors, taught me this, that when you're filling the system, when the can starts to get ice cold, you just dip it in the hot water and it heats it up and helps it to come out of the pan quicker. Come out of the can quicker. So let's go ahead, crank up the car, and start putting in our Freon. First, we need to tap the can with our can tap here. And that's just going to go on there like that. And then we'll cinch that around to hold it in place. There we go. Then we'll screw this down until it makes contact. Like that. And then we will puncture the can. All right. Cool, it's punctured. Let's go plug this in to the manifold on the car. Now we want to, before I undo the tap so the Freon starts coming out, we want to crank the car and put the AC on high. So let's get that screwed in here. All right, let's go ahead and open up our can. All right, now we want to purge any air out of here. There we go, that's Freon. Now we want to open up our line, and there we go. Our Freon is going into the system. Now, when it gets enough in there, we're going to hear the AC compressor kick on. There it went. The compressor just kicked on. Man, it's sucking that stuff in fast. There you go. See our Freon going in there? Now there's also a sight glass right there. Let me turn out the light. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see that. That's a sight glass. You see the Freon bubbles going past there? On R12 systems, when there's no more bubbles, that's when you know it's full. All right, that can is already empty. So let's get our next can. There we go. Open up the system. And there our Freon's going in. off our manifold. And there we go. This is the third can. Now after the third can, we're going to go check our temperature in the AC vent with a thermometer. Okay, good. Did you hear the auxiliary fan just kick on? That means the pressure has gotten up in the system, and our switch that we installed, the red switch, has successfully kicked on the cooling fan. So that means everything's working correctly. All right, we've got our thermometer here. Oh yeah, it's ice cold already. All right, so we're gonna let that sit in here for a minute. Okay, we can see it dropping. All right, we're just gonna let that keep dropping and see where we end up. Oh, that feels fantastic. So we need to get a little bit more Freon in and then inject the rest of our oil. So let's finish this can, and then I'm gonna put in 2 more ounces of oil, and then we'll do like half of the next can. And you can see the oil in our sight glass there, that green liquid, that's the oil going in. All right, that's it for the oil. Now we have all the oil in the system. Let's undo our injector. All right, let's go see what our AC temp is at now. Oh yeah, there we go. We're down to 40 degrees. That green mark right there, I don't know if you guys can see that. That green mark is 40 degrees. Now with R12, I usually get down to about 39 degrees. So we're gonna go ahead and put in the rest of our Freon now. All right guys, now we only want to put half of this can in, and you kind of just got to do that by feeling the weight of the can. Like I said, you don't have to get exactly correct as long as you're close. All right guys, that is it. We are charged. Let's go check our air temperature. All right, there we go guys. 39 degrees, right on the mark. That's about where it gets every time I do an R12 system. So let's go ahead and shut off the engine. All right guys, mission accomplished. We got down to 39 degrees, changed the compressor, the receiver dryer, the O-rings, the high pressure switch, and the temperature switch. And we put in about 3.5 cans of R12, 4 ounces of oil, and this system is working great. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. We'll see you next time.